Hey guys,
Welcome back to our channel.
this is actually our introductory video. We are on our way to Menards right now.
While we are driving to Menards, we're going to tell you guys a little bit about ourselves. Tanner and I have been together 5 years.
5 years.
It was 5 years in March on the 7th.
Yep.
I think we'd be better about remembering this, but actually he remembers more than I do.
Yeah, I actually remember our anniversary better, or together anniversary better than she does.
Yeah. So we've been together about 5 years. We've lived together in our new house for, is it 3? It was 3, and that was also like the beginning of March.
Yeah. Yeah, March 7th actually.
Yeah, we do a lot of things on the 7th. We actually got married June 8th, so I mean, or was it the 7th?
It was 8th.
Okay.
Apparently I remember our wedding anniversary.
So many
better than
7s.
she does too.
I get confused. So we've been in this house in Roanoke for about 3 years, and before that we lived together like off and on we lived in Bartonville in his mom's house. She was renting it out to us, and so we lived there for a few years together off and on. We started out living together, then I moved back home for a little bit just because it was closer to work, and we weren't living together for like maybe a year, and then I moved back in with him when I was done with that and closer to the end of my schooling, and then I think I had a year left,
Yeah.
or so, and Tanner and I had kind of been looking, and I know we discussed this previously, started looking for a house. We weren't like seriously looking, we just wanted to have something that was in between our parents. His parents, one lived in Wharton, one lived in Pekin, and then my parents lived where I grew up in Dana. So we wanted something in between to make it kind of, I guess, fair is the way we would put it, so that we weren't closer to one than we were the other, which we actually are a little bit closer, I think, by like 5 minutes to...
Well, it takes about 25 to 30 minutes to get to your mom's. It takes about 45 to get to my mom's now, because my mom moved back to Bartonville in the house that we lived in.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a little bit longer to get to my mom's house, but I'm not too concerned with it.
I mean,
we still go see both of them just as often.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if it's just me, I'll go see my mom because my dog Jenny lives there. She was, I think, 3 by the time I moved, or Tanner and I, no, she'd have been 4 by the time we moved into this house, and we just were talking about it, and it wasn't right to her to make her leave her home. And my mom has another dog, Bandit, who I'm sure you guys will get we'll call it pleasure of meeting. He's a little obnoxious, but he's a good dog.
He's a good dog.
He tries his hardest.
He's a hound, so he's very excitable. He's very loud. We call his howl his Cooney alarm. He's very excitable. Great dog. I mean, he'll love you to death, but he is a little hard to handle sometimes.
His Cooney alarm is kind of broken too. It's like it didn't get wired correctly because he just uses it way too often. But so he had attached to Jenny. He'd grown up his whole life with her because he was 1 or 2 when I was gonna take Jenny and move her in. So I just didn't think it was fair. It was easier that way. So we just kept Odie and brought Odie because Odie was technically Tanner's dog. We got him a month or 2 after we started dating from Tanner's sister. She found out she was pregnant, and it was just going to be too much to have 3 dogs and a cat and 2 kids. It was it was too much. So we offered to take him, and
He's a great dog.
So he's a great dog, but some days I'm like, I'm shipping him back.
I love that dog. I would never get rid of him.
We joke about it, but honestly,
Yeah, we always joke to my sister about how we're gonna put him in a box and ship him back to her.
we would never do that.
But
though.
we would never do that.
He's a good dog. He came from a rough situation. We've had him. He's gonna be 6 in June.
I think so, yeah.
So he's getting up there. So we had him by himself in the new house for 3-ish months, and then we made the mistake of going to Petco and looking at puppies.
Yeah. It was Graffelman Farms. They're a local dog rescue around here.
Yeah, they're Hannah City.
Based out of Hannah City, and they had puppies. They had 2 puppies and an older dog, and then I think
They were all puppies. It's just that Bailey and his sister were just under 2 months old.
Yeah.
When we looked, when we got him, he was 2 months old. But then there was another one that was, what was her name? Carmel or something?
Yeah, Carmel.
And she was like 3 or 4 months old. So they were all babies.
Mm-hmm.
But Tanner and I were, I mean, at that point we had talked about getting another dog. It was nothing serious, but we had talked about getting another dog. And
it was more her talking and me saying, yes, dear.
pretty much. But I was like, Tanner, just hold the puppies. Let's just go hold them and cuddle them, because we like to do that anyway. And I had picked up his sister, actually. She was all white, except for like a black dot around her eye. She was really sweet. And Tanner picked up Bailey, and his name was Cody at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he just fell in love. I don't think that I had a choice in the matter.
We were talking about the dogs, and I think we're about ready to move on to how we met.
All right. Well, do you want to tell that part of the story?
Okay. So, I'll preface the story. I'll go a little bit more into depth on this about when I go into about me. But I'm in the Air National Guard. I had just graduated tech school when I met her. We met online at the one and only farmersonly.com. You can laugh at us later for it. But yeah.
The only part that was kind of whatever is we were trying to kind of keep it quiet from our family, you know. So we told them that we met at, I don't know, what story did we come up with?
I'll tell that story. So, her mom knew, because her mom was the one that convinced her to sign up for Farmer. I originally messaged her, and she didn't really...
This part of the story gets really funny.
She didn't really...
I wasn't sure I was interested, to be honest. So I just kind of let him sit there for like, I don't know, a week.
It was quite a while. And, you know, I just kept browsing. I came across her again, and so I sent her another message, and then she finally sent one back. Yeah, she didn't even tell me her name, because like
oh
it
my
goes
gosh,
by,
I forgot this part of the story. It's really funny.
So on Farmers Only, you don't have actual names; you go by screen names. And so when I asked her name, she said, "Oh, I don't want to tell you." And I'm like, "Okay."
Got to keep the mystery alive.
And so, I mean, I talked to her, like at that point we had exchanged phone numbers and stuff, and I talked to her for about a week almost before she even told me her name. And
do you want to tell them the story about your mom being involved and why it's so funny?
But then how I had her in my phone was question mark. Like I did 3 question marks. And so I was still living with my mom and her boyfriend at the time. And so we were out at dinner, and I was texting her, and I get a text from her, and my phone is sitting up, and my mom sees it. She goes, "Who's question mark, question mark, question mark?" I was like, I honestly don't know her name. And this whole time my mom didn't know that we had met online. And so she's like, well, and so I was telling my mom about her, and she's like, well, how did you even meet her?
This is where the lies come in.
And so I said, I was embarrassed that, you know, I met somebody online because I was 18. And so I told her,
we were babies.
yeah. So, I mean, we still are. I mean, we're only 24. I'm not even 24 yet. I'm going to be there in a couple months. But,
yeah, he's only a couple months younger than me.
So, I was embarrassed. And so I told her, I was like, well, one of my friends, because I went to ICC in the same school that she went to, and she,
lost your train of thought there.
yeah.
Again.
So she, I told my mom that I met her through a friend, that one of my friends set me up with her, but didn't tell me her name. I know it got really deep there for a while, but and every single time she asked, like, I was just like, well, I already told her this, so I got to keep it going. And
This
so this
lie.
went on for 4 years until we finally.
It gets more in depth.
Oh, okay.
So, like we said, my mom and I guess my brothers and stuff knew, but other than that, like, when people asked, because Tanner had already got this story going, we just had to say we met at ICC. Anytime we were around, I don't know if we actually ever told your dad the real story.
I don't know.
They're all pretty supportive, but, so then our buddy John, I've known John, he used to work with my dad, so I've known him since my junior year in high school. We're really good friends, and, Tanner and I don't remember who came up with this lie. It was probably me. We'll have to ask John on this, but he asked how we met, but I don't know if it was Tanner that came up with this or if I came up with it, but we told John we met at, like, I think it was me, PetSmart. I told him, we met at PetSmart, and he believes it because I'm always at PetSmart.
Well,
buying.
no, I think what it was is because our actual first date, we'll get to that in a minute, was at Tractor Supply. Like, we met at Tractor Supply and we just went in. And,
Had to buy stuff for the dog.
yeah. I mean, I was getting a dog already, so I had to buy stuff for my dog. And, she was getting stuff for her dog, so.
I actually think that when we got the stuff for Odie, I'm pretty sure we picked it out together.
Yeah.
Because since Tanner was in the Air National Guard, I thought it'd be really cool. Tractor Supply used to have Tina's Tractor Supply that we got. His collar, his very first collar was ABU, which is their uniform pattern, or was. It's transitioning. And then it had the little Air Force seal on it. Super cool collar. He had that for a little bit before he found a way to get out of it and shoot it up.
We'll go more into that on our introduction to the dogs that we're going to do here within a few weeks. I don't know when we're going to do it yet.
Whenever we get the house put back together.
So then we told our friend John, we told him that we met at Tractor. So he thought we told him PetSmart.
I probably did.
And so there was all of these like spinning webs of stories that finally
we kept this up.
For 4 years, we kept the story up.
And then last year, we had we decided that it would be better for us to do a joint wedding shower.
Yep.
And a really good friend, Hallie, and Nick, and then my brother and mom, and I think John helped a little bit. They all kind of planned it together, but
John
it was
helped.
Mostly like Hallie and my mom, and I think my brother. I don't know exactly, but we're really grateful that they all did it. So if you guys see this, thank you. But so one of the games was asking questions about us, and one of the questions was, how did you meet? Well, Tanner and I obviously were going to keep this lie up, so we said Tractor Supply.
So I was filling out the actual answer card, and
I think we filled that one out together, because there was 2 games like this, and I think that one we filled out together to make sure.
No, because you were sitting across the room.
Yeah, but I came over to make sure we had the same answers.
But anyway, okay, yeah. So then I'm filling out the card, and I'm filling out the answers that I want to tell. Unbeknownst to me, her mom gets up there, and then she starts reading off her card.
My mom's like, I got this. She was funny about it, though. Like, it ended up being really funny. But she's like, I got this. I know these guys the best. They tell me all. I think I got it. So she wanted to see if she was actually right, because then she read off hers to make sure. But when she was reading it off, she said, when it got to where did they meet, she said, on Farmers Only. And we're like, we just looked at each other and I'm like, Mom, that was a secret. You were supposed to take that to the grave. And of course, Tanner's mom's there. All our friends are there. Our family's there. Nobody knows the truth.
Except for her mom.
That moment. That's when it all came unraveled.
And then, and so then John comes up and he goes, I thought you guys met at PetSmart. So yeah, that's the story of how we met, really.
We're a real interesting bunch.
So then I think what we'll do is we're going to go into each other's backstories. Like we'll each tell our own backstory, and then we can come back and wrap it up. Then
So we'll kind of go into me, because Tanner doesn't want to go first. So I grew up in Dana. Not any of you probably won't, unless you know us or you are from there, you probably will not know it. Dana is a town of about 150 people. Small farming community. My grandfather owned a farm about a mile out of town of where we live, so I kind of got to experience a little bit of that growing up, the cool farming, whatever, playing with the lambs, helping take care of them every once in a while, that kind of thing. So that's kind of what got me into the agriculture. That's why I went for that at ICC for my associates. Pretty much my whole senior year of high school was ag classes. I took 1 or 2 my junior year, and then senior year I had everything else done, and I just stacked my class load with ag. So that was really nice. And so that's kind of what got me into the agriculture background, was growing up around that. I really enjoyed it. I stacked my whole senior year, like I said, with ag classes, and I was so good at it. I loved it. The only other real classes I had was college level English, because I had tried to, between my junior and senior year, take some classes for college, get it out of the way. I took accounting. Obviously I had to take PE. I was in band all 4 years. I was a band geek. But otherwise, like, pretty much I was going between the ag shop, which was across the parking lot from the rest of the building, to the building all day. And it was fine because I loved ag. It was great. I had a really good ag teacher. So that's pretty much, I got into that, and that was what I wanted to do. So like I said, I got my associates in applied science at ICC. So I had to do it in 3 years instead of 2, because when I originally started out, I had such a good ag teacher that I wanted to be an ag teacher. I knew it was a job that was in high demand, and that's what I wanted to do. And then I got to college, I started taking the gen eds for it, and I realized that I was not going to do well. And it wasn't because I wouldn't be a good teacher. I don't know if I would, honestly. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, but...
You got the gift of gab for it.
But, I knew that I was going to have to take college algebra, and I just wasn't going to be able to do it. I am not good at math. I barely got past, I think it was Math 110 that I took. I don't know what it actually translates out to, but I struggled. I struggled hard. And so I was just like, I can't. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it, so I just went ahead and dropped off the ag education portion and went for straight. Instead of double majoring, I just went straight for the Associates in Applied Science and Ag Business. That's what I did. And then I graduated in, 17? Because I graduated the spring that we bought our house. And so I haven't been in school since then. Well, then I kind of decided to go back. I just didn't know what I wanted to go back for. And I ended up deciding, because I really enjoy doing our budget in an accounting spreadsheet, that I was going to go for accounting. I really enjoy it. It makes me happy because I'm OCD. And
Little things make her happy.
yeah, little things. Tanner always says that, like, he always says, the littlest things that make you happy, you're very easy to please.
She's not wrong. I do say that all the time. She is very easy to make happy.
Like, in our remodeling project, I pretty much haven't, like, because there's certain things that I will stronghold on and stand my ground on. And there hasn't really been much with this entire remodel, except for I really wanted a black pipe shelf, and Tanner's going to build it for me. So, so I was supposed to start in the fall. Thankfully I didn't, because things just did not go as planned with harvest and everything. But decided to start that in January. Alright, so I will talk about my job that I do at the elevator. It kind of started out as an internship. I went and did an interview, and they hired me, like, right on the spot. There was, like, no question about it. I was getting hired. So I worked there 7 days a week. 6 of the days are 12-hour days, and then Sundays are, I think, 5. So I do that. I've gone back every year after. I really liked it. I enjoyed it because, like I previously said, I grew up in that area, so I know all the farmers, for the most part, I should say. some of them are new to me and some of them I don't know as well or whatever. But since I've been there for 4 years, I pretty much know everybody. I know who's gonna be a little bit of a stinker about things and who's gonna be kind of a pain in the butt about things. So I can get along with most of them, keep the peace if there's troubled times. Like this year was pretty rough for everybody because of getting the late planting. That meant they had to harvest later, and things just still weren't dried down, so we were having to close a lot earlier. We were getting some 5-hour days, sometimes only 2. It was a really rough year, but since my mom lives in town, she bakes every year for everybody, and I think that kind of helps too. So between the two of us, we kind of were able to handle things inside. And Brian, I think we've discussed that Brian, he's the location manager, so he kind of handles everything. I still have to answer to him, obviously, but having me inside, he kind of made me this, he calls me the scale house manager. I kind of keep things at bay in there so that he doesn't really have to worry about what's going on inside, and he knows it's under control, and he can worry about things going on outside because it's an elevator, and if you know that you've worked at one, experienced one, or whatever, things break. And it's
all the time.
Yeah, all the time. So it's a lot easier for him to not really have to worry about that and know that I have it under control. Because I mean, there's some times where like he has to not even be on the ground. He's up on the elevator, cleaning out a conveyor or a leg or stuff like that. Or occasionally I do have to bother him a little bit because the probe coming in clogs, but he can worry about that kind of stuff that he needs to be doing. Or sometimes if it happens to work, he needs to be in a truck hauling because he not only is a location manager, he hauls out for the company. He's a semi driver too, so he just doesn't have to worry about leaving the location in my hands and then the other outside guy's hands. And that's kind of nice. I've been there, like I said, 4 years, and I will definitely continue to go back every year that I can. So even if I don't have to go back to work full-time, I'll still do that in the fall while I'm in school. So that'll be really nice. But since I started class in January, Tanner was able to kind of, we talked about it, and Tanner was like, we get the bills paid, or the debt paid down, and I should be able to handle working, and you stay home and focus on school. And then, in the next couple of years when we go to have kids, I can stay home and focus on the kids. I think that's pretty much all about me, so I'll hand it over to Tanner.
All right. So I was born and raised up to the point where I was 10, I believe, either 9 or 10, in Tivoli, Illinois, very small town, similar to the size of Dana. That's where I went to grade school and middle school. And then once my parents, once they divorced, I moved with my mom into my grandma's house. We lived there for a couple months until my mom could kind of get back on her feet. And then we started renting a house about 3 doors down. We stayed there for 4 or 5 years. I think it was 4 years that we lived there. Then about my junior year of high school, I think, my mom bought a house, the one that we started dating in and lived in for a short stint. And so I lived there until I graduated high school. I took mostly auto shop. I really used to like working on cars. I used to like learning about them, and I also took welding. Found out I didn't really have much of an eye for welding. I mean, I still can. Where I work currently, I do a little bit of welding, but I don't do much with cars anymore. They've gotten too advanced. So I graduated high school. I was 17, and then before I graduated high school, I enlisted in the Air National Guard, and so I did that. I was drilling 1 weekend a month for those 3 months before I graduated high school. And originally, I had they had scheduled me to go to basic training in October of that year. So I would have about 7 months before I was supposed to go. Well, one day while I was fishing, and I remember the day perfectly clear, I get a call from the recruiter saying, hey, we can get you a slot for, to go June 24th. And so I wasn't sure, so I was like, can I think about it? And they said, well, I mean, yeah, but I kind of need to know soon. I was like, well, how soon? They said, 2 hours. It's like, oh. So I decided to go. I ended up spending my 18th birthday in basic training. It was the third day of basic training. So I went to basic training in Lackland Air Force Base. It's down in Texas, in San Antonio. You do that for 8 weeks, and then after that, I went to tech school at Shepherd Air Force Base, which is in Wichita Falls, Texas. And so I was there for about 4 months, learning how to do my job. And so after that, I graduated. I started doing my on-the-job training with the 182nd Airlift here in Peoria. Being guard means that you stay where you enlisted. You stay at the base that you enlisted with. So it's not like active duty where they place you. They kind of move you around. So with that, I started my on-the-job training. That lasted about 3 months. And that brings us almost up to when I met her. I met her, I think I first started talking to her right before my first super drill, which was in March drill. And I can explain that more in my personal videos that I'll do about the military. So I met her, and then, we started dating. So after that, after my on-the-job training, I tried to get a full-time job there. I should probably start going into my civilian career. After I graduated tech school, sorry, not high school. After I graduated tech school, I started going to ICC. That is where I was working on a degree of industrial electrical technology. I ended up deciding that degree was kind of worthless. Sorry, ICC, but it was. I mean, it wasn't really going anywhere. I learned a lot of stuff, but it wasn't really practical stuff, because what I was trying to do is I was trying to do that so that I could become an electrician. Well, I found out that, you don't necessarily need a degree to be an electrician. You could either go into the union or you can be non-union, and you don't really need a degree to do that, because you're still going to have to learn, you don't learn the kind of skills that you need in a classroom. You learn it hands-on. So I ended up quitting that. I was still working my minimum wage job.
You're a Bass Pro, weren't you? Part of that time?
Part of that time I worked for Bass Pro. The other part of the time I worked for O'Reilly's. And then my temporary, I did a temporary technician tour for the military. And then after that, I actually got hired on by, and you'll actually see it in our remodeling videos. I was wearing one of my shirts. I got hired on with Jeff Anderson Electric. Our service work to new construction was about 50-50. And then throw some remodel jobs in there, here and there. So, it's likelihood of you getting home on time, even during a new construction job where you have a couple days to complete, it's very slim, because you've got a lot of work to get done in 3 days while you're roughing in a house. So,
which we understood, we were fine with. It was starting to, that mixed with the work environment because of management. It was starting to take its toll on him, and he just wasn't happy anymore.
I took the day unpaid to go and interview with So Bright Technologies, the company I work for now. Great company, by the way. So I took the day off on my own time, wasn't getting paid for it, to go interview. the boss then said to my foreman, said, well, you know he's going to interview. So, long story short, I come in the next day, and he lets me go. So he said to the foreman, well, he said to the foreman, he said, you can either let him go at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day. Doesn't matter to me. And so the foreman gave me the choice. And I said, well, I might as well work the rest of the day. That being said, at that point, I had no idea if I was getting the job at SoBrite or not. I had no idea. I mean, I had a good idea. The boss, very, very nice guy, Bryant Reuter, great guy. He said, hey, I want to hire you. I really do. I got to check to make sure, you know, I got to run all my checks, you know, because I've been bitten in the butt by that before. So you need to make sure I had a valid driver's license, you know, check my background and all that. Perfectly understand why he wanted to do that. And then finally I got the call.
Well, hey,
all right, we're offering you a
I
job.
was bummed out, and I said, why don't you come home, meet me at work? You don't have anywhere to be. And he ended up, I think, for about a week working at Graymont.
That was while I still worked for Jeff.
I think you did a little bit after, though, too.
Yeah, I did.
While you were waiting for stuff to go through.
I did, but so I still did work for the grain elevator. I was dumping trucks and stuff, but I actually started helping out there. Well, I worked for Jeff. I was just working the weekends, just because I wanted to bring in a little extra money, helping out and harvesting and all that. But so then
don't let him lie. He enjoys it.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely. We ended up better off, anyways, because now I work for the great company, SoBrite Technologies.
Hatches.
Yeah. I work for the great company, SoBrite Technologies, where I will go a little bit more in depth on my job in a later video. But I work for some of the best people ever. I work with some of the best people ever. I go to work at the same time every day. I come home the same time every day. I mean, I don't make overtime anymore, but I have benefits now. I have a 401k plan.
And so, like, he was like, hey, guys, you know, I need to take some vacation time. I have a TDY coming up. And he went in the next day, I think it was, and they're like, listen, man, we're going to give you so many days a year.
They give me 80 hours a year for military purposes, and that is absolutely amazing.
You can't say enough nice things about this company. When he was getting ready to do his deployment, you know, we had an idea about a year out, honestly, because of how their schedule works. We had a rough idea. Nothing was set in stone, but we were able to tell him, hey, you know, I'm going to be gone. We'll give you a for sure date closer to time. So once he was able to give them that for sure date, like, they were super good about it. And they were like, hey, you know, just let us know. Let us know how it's going. Keep us in whatever. We had a huge cookout before he left. They're like, man, we want to send you off right. And, like, they checked in on him while he was gone. The amount of
care, you know, they care, you know. It's not because obviously with a deployment the employer is required to work around it. Obviously it's part of the USERRA, but the way they go about it is just so above and beyond. So yeah, that's pretty much us.
I don't know, Tanner probably didn't say actually, but the plane he works on is the C-130 Hercules. So that's how we actually got our name, the Herc Life. It's just, we wanted to kind of have something unique, but tie in a little bit. So we thought it was kind of, because I mean, he is in the military, so we do have a little bit of that military life background. So thought it'd be a nice little title.
Yeah. All right, well, that pretty much wraps up this video. So this was our intro video, and there'll be plenty more videos to come. So if you like this video, make sure you give us a like, subscribe.